Picture this. You're standing in a store that's been stripped bare. Empty shelves stretch out in every direction. Other people are frantically grabbing whatever's left, their carts overflowing with random items. And you're standing there, realizing you're too late. Everyone else prepared before you did. This isn't some doomsday fantasy. This actually happened during the 2024 port strikes in the United States. The mere threat of supply chain disruption sent crowds scrambling for toilet paper, bottled water, and paper towels. The irony? Most of that toilet paper was made domestically and wasn't even at risk. But fear doesn't care about logic. We saw the same thing in South Korea when martial law was declared in December 2024. And again in Spain during the April 2025 power outage. Panic buying emptied shelves in hours. Here's what most people don't realize. The first items to vanish aren't always the obvious ones. Beyond food and water, there are specific tools that become impossible to find. Not because they're rare or expensive, but because everyone realizes their importance at the exact same moment. Today, I'm going to reveal the 10 survival tools that disappear fastest in every disaster. These aren't exotic items. They're practical tools that regular families are quietly stockpiling right now, which is why the survival tools market is projected to hit $2.7 billion by 2032. Welcome to Crisis Horizon, where we help you stay prepared when everyone else is panicking. If you find this information valuable, hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss our preparedness guides. And make sure you watch until the end because some of these tools will surprise you, and number 7 could literally save your life. Let's dive in. When disaster strikes, the first thing that fails isn't your supplies, it's information. The power grid goes down, cell towers stop working, the internet vanishes. Suddenly, you're completely isolated from the outside world. And here's the terrifying part. Not knowing what's happening or what's coming next can break people mentally. That isolation, that uncertainty, it destroys morale faster than any physical danger. This is where a hand crank emergency radio becomes invaluable. I'm not talking about those flimsy models that break after 2 uses. I'm talking about a quality radio with hand crank charging, solar charging capabilities, and multiple bands including NOAA weather alerts. These radios become worth their weight in gold the moment communication systems fail. Let me tell you about a severe storm back in 2019. The power was out for 6 days straight, and cell service died completely on day 2. I watched panic set in as my neighbors lost all contact with the outside world. They had no idea if help was coming, how bad the damage was, or what to expect next. But with a hand crank radio, just 2 minutes of cranking provided weather updates and emergency broadcasts. That connection to information, that sense of control, it made all the difference. Here's why these radios disappear. People simply don't think about them until they desperately need one. After every major hurricane, emergency radios are sold out for months, both online and in physical stores. Millions of people realize too late that they should have had one sitting in their emergency kit. When you're shopping for one, make sure it has multiple charging options: hand crank, solar, and USB. Verify it covers AM, FM, and NOAA weather bands. And here's a critical tip. Store it with fresh batteries and test it regularly. Don't wait for an emergency to discover your radio doesn't work. Now, let's talk about something everyone stockpiles during a crisis: bottled water. And yes, you absolutely need water. But here's the problem with bottled water. It's bulky, it's heavy, and once it's gone, it's gone. For a family, storing enough bottled water for even a week becomes a logistical nightmare. A quality water filtration system changes everything. I'm not talking about those basic camping straws. I'm talking about gravity-fed filters or high-quality pump systems that actually remove bacteria, protozoa, and dangerous contaminants. Here's the reality in most disasters. Water doesn't disappear. It becomes unsafe. Flooding contaminates municipal water supplies. Infrastructure damage means water coming out of your tap is untreated. Natural sources like rivers and streams become your only option, but you can't drink from them directly. During a 2-week camping trip where I used only filtered creek water, a single filter system processed over 50 gallons. Think about that. That's the equivalent of carrying 400 pounds of bottled water, but the filter itself weighed just 2 pounds. These systems vanish fast. After the Flint water crisis, quality filters were unavailable for months. The same pattern repeats after hurricanes, floods, or any event that compromises water safety. And here's the dangerous part. Cheap knockoffs flood the market, but many of them simply don't work when you need the most. Buy filters from reputable brands and store extras. Learn the difference between filters which remove particles and purifiers which kill viruses and chemicals. And most importantly, learn how to use your system before you need it. Practice in your backyard. Make mistakes now, not during an emergency. Your phone is more than just entertainment. It's a flashlight. It's a communication device. It's a camera for documenting damage. It's your access to emergency information and contact with loved ones. Keeping it charged during a disaster isn't a luxury. It's essential for survival. But here's the problem. Power outages last far longer than phone batteries. A single charge might give you a day, maybe two if you're extremely conservative. Then what? A high-capacity solar-powered battery bank, at least 20,000 milliamp hours or more, with built-in solar panels or the ability to connect to separate panels, becomes absolutely critical. This isn't about being eco-friendly. Renewable power during a disaster is about survival. During a 3-day power outage, I was the only person in my neighborhood able to charge phones. That meant I could stay connected to emergency updates, coordinate with family members, and maintain that crucial lifeline to the outside world while everyone else went dark. Battery banks disappear instantly when disaster strikes. Everyone has a phone, but very few people think about how to charge it until it's too late. Stores sell out within hours. Online retailers backorder for weeks, and price gouging becomes rampant. People charging triple the normal price because they know you're desperate. Get a rugged, waterproof battery bank with legitimate solar charging capability. Keep it charged and test it regularly. Store it in your emergency kit where you can grab it immediately. Don't wait until you're staring at a dying phone with no way to bring it back to life. A good multi-tool is the difference between being able to fix things, adapt to situations, and improvise solutions, or being completely helpless. I'm not talking about cheap novelty gadgets. I'm talking about serious tools with pliers, wire cutters, multiple knife blades, screwdrivers, a saw, a can opener, and scissors. Brands like Leatherman or Gerber last for decades if you treat them right. During a winter storm, my neighbor's pipe burst and started flooding his basement. We needed to shut off the water at the street valve, but it required a specific tool to reach down and turn it. The right multi-tool made it possible, preventing hours of flooding and thousands of dollars in damage. These tools disappear because once people enter survival mode, they suddenly realize they need something to cut rope, tighten a screw, open a can, or fix a broken piece of equipment. Hardware stores and outdoor retailers sell out quickly, and online shopping isn't an option when infrastructure is damaged. Invest in a quality multi-tool in the $60 to $100 range. It might seem expensive, but this is a lifetime purchase. Use it regularly so you become familiar with all its functions. Keep it accessible in your emergency kit, not buried at the bottom of a drawer somewhere. Now let me tell you about one of the most underrated survival tools that exists, heavy-duty tarps. These things are survival multi-tools in sheet form. They can be emergency shelters, waterproof ground covers, patches for broken windows, rain collection systems, makeshift stretchers, windbreaks, privacy screens. The uses are truly endless. But here's the critical part. They must be heavy duty. I'm talking at least 12 mil thick, reinforced with grommets at the corners and edges. Those cheap blue tarps you see at discount stores, they tear easily and fail when you need them most. During Hurricane Katrina, FEMA distributed tarps to thousands of families. And you know what made the difference between homes that recovered and homes that became unlivable? It was often the quality of the tarp protecting the roof. A good tarp kept water out while repairs were made. A cheap tarp failed within days, letting water destroy everything inside. After any major storm, freeze, or tornado, tarps vanish from hardware stores completely. Resupply takes weeks because entire regions are buying them all at once. You cannot improvise a tarp. You cannot make one from household items. You either have one or you don't. Get multiple sizes and store them with paracord, rope, and bungee cords for securing them. Spray them with waterproofing treatment annually to maintain their integrity. And here's a pro tip. Always opt for larger tarps. You can always fold a tarp to make it smaller, but you can't stretch a small tarp to cover more area. When people think about first aid kits, they usually picture a basic box with some band-aids and maybe some antiseptic cream. Let me be blunt, generic first aid kits are nearly useless in real disasters. The medical supplies that vanished first are trauma supplies, heavy-duty gauze, Israeli bandages, pressure dressings, medical tape, irrigation syringes, super glue for wound closure, and antibiotics if you can possibly get them. But it's not just trauma supplies. Over-the-counter medications disappear just as fast. Pain relievers, anti-inflammatories, allergy medications, antacids, anti-diarrhea medicine. These seem trivial until you're dealing with them during a disaster. A splitting headache or severe stomach issues become debilitating when you can't treat them. During COVID and every disaster since, we've watched stores worldwide get depleted of basic painkillers and other essential medications within hours. It happens every single time. Everyone needs medical supplies during disasters. The stress, the minor injuries, the physical toll of dealing with damage and displacement, it all adds up. Panic buying wipes out pharmacy and first aid stock instantly. Organize your first aid kit by category: wound care, medications, tools, and splinting materials. Rotate medications regularly to avoid expiration. Learn basic first aid and trauma care and actually practice with your supplies so you know how to use them under pressure. And talk to your doctor about getting emergency prescriptions for critical medications, especially if you have ongoing health conditions. You can survive for weeks without food, but you still need to boil water, cook whatever food you have, and potentially stay warm. A portable stove becomes absolutely essential, not just for food preparation, but for basic survival functions. You want a reliable, fuel-efficient camping stove. Propane, butane, or multi-fuel stoves are your best options.
But here's what most people miss. The fuel is actually more critical than the stove itself. During a week-long winter power outage, I found myself rationing fuel canisters. That constant worry, that mental calculation of how much fuel was left versus how long the outage might last, it was psychologically exhausting. During panic buying, stoves and fuel canisters are among the first items completely depleted. After the Texas freeze in 2021, camping stoves and propane were unavailable for weeks. People were desperate, offering ridiculous amounts of money for a single fuel canister. Get a dual fuel stove for maximum flexibility. Store at least 10 fuel canisters safely following all storage guidelines. Have a backup plan, maybe an alcohol stove, or learn about no-fuel cooking methods like solar ovens or rocket stoves. And test your stove regularly. Practice setting it up and using it so you're not fumbling with instructions in the dark during an emergency. Staying warm isn't just about comfort, it's about survival. During the Texas freeze, people died in their own homes from hypothermia. These weren't people caught outside in a blizzard. They were inside their houses, but without heat, temperatures dropped to dangerous levels. Quality sleeping bags rated for cold temperatures, insulated sleeping pads, and emergency Mylar blankets become essential. Most people dramatically underestimate the impact of cold during disasters. Even in mild climates, temperatures can become dangerous at night, especially when combined with rain or wind. After winter storms or extended power outages, sporting goods stores sell out of sleeping bags immediately. And those cheap summer weight bags people buy for casual camping, they won't save you in real cold. You need bags rated to at least 20 degrees Fahrenheit for everyone in your household. Get proper sleeping bags and use compression stuff sacks to store them efficiently. But here's something most people don't know. Test your gear periodically. Sleeping bags that have been compressed for years can lose insulation effectiveness. You don't want to discover that during an emergency when your life depends on staying warm. Our entire modern civilization runs on electricity. Electric can openers, power tools, kitchen appliances, everything requires electricity. But when the power goes out for extended periods, all of that stops working. This is where manual hand-powered tools become essential. Manual can openers, grain grinders, meat grinders, water pumps, hand saws. Throughout history, civilization ran entirely on manual tools. Our dependency on electricity is actually a massive vulnerability that most people never think about. After Hurricane Maria devastated Puerto Rico, manual tools became premium items. Those who had them could fix things, build things, and function normally. Those who didn't were essentially stuck, unable to complete basic tasks without electricity. Here's the supply problem. Manual tools aren't stocked in large quantities anymore. Retail stores carry primarily electric versions, so when disaster strikes, the limited supply of manual tools gets bought up immediately. Stock up on quality manual tools, and don't overlook vintage or antique models. They're often superior to modern versions. Maintain them properly with oil and proper storage. And most importantly, learn traditional skills. Practice using these tools so you're proficient with them. A manual grain grinder doesn't help if you don't know how to use it effectively. Here's something that doesn't vanish during the initial panic buying, but becomes impossible to find after disasters hit. Waterproof document protection. Important documents, identification, insurance policies, medical records, birth certificates, property deeds, these are all extremely fragile. Floods, fires, and even minor water damage can destroy them completely. And losing these documents makes recovery an absolute bureaucratic nightmare. After Hurricane Katrina, many survivors couldn't access their bank accounts, prove they owned their property, or get replacement identification because all their documents were lost. Imagine trying to rebuild your life when you can't even prove who you are or what you owned. Waterproof safes and document bags don't disappear during initial panic buying because people are focused on immediate survival items. But after disasters, when people realize what they've lost, these protection systems become impossible to find. And here's the problem. You cannot improvise document protection after the fact. Water has already destroyed everything. Get a quality, waterproof, fireproof document bag or safe right now. Make copies of every critical document, store the originals in your safe, put digital copies on a USB drive in the same safe, and store another complete set somewhere off-site, maybe with a trusted family member or in a safe deposit box. Research products carefully before buying. Those cheap waterproof bags you see online, many of them fail in real disasters. Read reviews from people who actually tested them, not just the marketing claims. Disaster preparedness isn't about preparing for Hollywood-style apocalypses. It's about being ready for the next storm, the next supply chain disruption, or the next infrastructure failure. The survival tools market is exploding because regular people are watching the patterns. They see shelves empty in hours. They see stores forced to close. They see essential items vanish in minutes. And they're quietly preparing. The next crisis is coming. Maybe it's a hurricane. Maybe it's an infrastructure failure. Maybe it's something we haven't even imagined yet. When it hits, these 10 tools will vanish before you can blink, leaving you scrambling alongside everyone else, unless you act now. Don't try to buy everything at once. That's overwhelming and expensive.
Pick 3 items from this list that make the most sense for your location and the disasters you're most likely to face. Get those items, learn how to use them properly, then build from there. Break down your preparation plan into manageable steps. Prioritize based on your budget and your specific risk factors. Rotate supplies regularly to keep everything fresh and functional. This isn't a one-time purchase. It's an ongoing process of preparation and maintenance. Here's the mindset shift you need to make. Preparedness isn't about living in fear. It's about living without fear, because you're ready. When everyone else is panicking, you'll have solutions. You'll have tools. You'll have the ability to protect yourself and your loved ones. That's not just survival. That's maintaining control when everything else is falling apart. The best time to prepare was yesterday. The second best time is right now. If you found this information valuable, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to Crisis Horizon. Turn on notifications so you never miss our preparedness guides. Your future self will thank you for taking action today.